There we go. All right, welcome back to Character GPS, your guidance system for life. You guys are making a great choice to be here. You're investing just 1 hour into your amazing future. I think you're really going to enjoy today. We're going to give you the tools to have a can-do attitude so that regardless of what happens to you in life, you can handle it. Because you're going to start noticing as you learn these leadership tools, you're going to start seeing the other students and noticing how different, you are versus what they're doing, right? Because a lot of students, when something's hard, what do? They give up. You guys are going to learn how to persevere, how to problem solve, how to work through things so that you can be successful, all right? So again, our commitment, you guys have done that we're going to be here every Thursday because this builds, right? And you can see some of you, when you miss, you got to get the notes, you're trying to kind of figure out what's going on. It's so much easier to stick with the program. You're here every Thursday, and then meeting with your mentors, right? So again, your mentors not only have been through the program, but they also have some other insights that can help you as well, right? So if you raise your hand, I'm going to give 5 tips to everyone who's been meeting with their mentors. So I know that, Jennifer, Miss Debbie, can you help me?
Yeah, I'll start on this side here.
Furial, great job. Genesis, good job. Christopher, good job. There you go. All right. So again, that is going to help you as well. And so again, now in class, in this adventure, we're going to actually teach you how your brain learns, but we got to do some setup for that first, okay? But again, as you learn to have good study habits, if you now take control of the learning process, you can learn anything you want. You can be a rocket scientist, a brain surgeon, right? When you know how your brain learns. But the first thing, you got to get into some good learning habits. So I already see a lot of you are doing great. You're already kind of turned up here so you can see me, you can see the screen, right? And remember, you're going to be filling in all your notes as we go along here. So again, making sure that you are teaching your folks when you get home. The best time to teach is when? We have class on Thursday. What did you say? Now, right? There's actually a reason for it. If you teach before you go to bed at night, you're actually going to help yourself, right? When you go to bed, your brain starts to clean out what we call short-term memory. But if you teach, it moves it to your long-term memory and you own it. So we'll explain more of these things, how your brain works, all right? So again, all the way through. But again, if you miss, again, if you come in, get your notes from someone else, meet with your mentor, right? Then you'll never fall behind, okay? So everyone took then the post-test, so now that's how it's going to work. We always do a pre-test and a post-test. You took the pre-test now for this adventure too. Again, we don't expect you to know those answers, but when you read the question, it automatically, your brain creates a storage place for the answer, right? Inquiring minds want to know. All right, so you set yourself up for success. And then we did have an action plan asking you to apologize for a lie, right? Because you want these people to trust you, not like the boy who cried wolf. So can anyone just tell me real quick that if you did your action plan, just how did it go? For 3 chips here. Yeah, how did your action plan go?
Good.
Okay, who'd you apologize to?
My mom.
Okay, and you're asking her to forgive you for what? You said you did them and you didn't, right? Okay, so now she can trust you, right? Now she can count on you. Jerry, what was yours?
I had to apologize to my friend because I could have spoke up for him, but then I had said everything.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah, that's great. And again, he looks up to you. You're a hero to him, right?
Right.
So he really wants to be able to trust you. Anyone else with an action plan? Yeah, Chris.
It's kind of like over communicating, with certain things, especially with parents, right?
Sometimes you just leave it out, right? It's almost the omission, right? You don't tell them, right? But you got to build the trust. That is great. Anyone else?
Yeah, or raising your hand.
Bound to, yeah. Okay, and what did you have to apologize for? About cleaning your room. Right? Now, obviously, she knows your room isn't clean, right? But she wants to hear it from you. She wants to be able to trust you. That's right. Okay, so the key is, foundation is you've got to be trustworthy to people, right? And of course, when you start to believe and trust, who do you trust? Yourself. That's the most important part of the process, right? You're doing yourself a favor. Okay, so we took our post-test. So again, we start off every adventure reminding yourself. Remember, when I do repetition, it's not to bore you, it's to reinforce, right? So here's today. Dakota, can you change your past? No. What can you change?
The future.
The future, right? That's what we want to get to. And June, if I connect those two dots today to your amazing future, what does it look like?
Straight line.
Connect those two dots just right now with your pencil, guys. What does it look like?
Straight line.
A straight line, right? That's what we would like our lives to be. We're focused, we're heading towards our future, but then, June, what happens? What do you see in your book? Instead of a straight line, what do you see? What's that red line look like? It's a distraction, it's a squiggly line, right? We all get distracted, right? So this toolkit's going to help you overcome the distraction of giving up when things are hard, right? So like when you took your test, you might have looked at those blanks, they might have been intimidating. Oh man, I don't know the answer. And yet the answer might have been right on the top of the test, right? So you got to believe in yourself, right? Don't let these things distract you, that you can figure it out. All right, you guys are doing great. So just reviewing again real quick now, in your book, you have the choice in life to be more like a weather vane or a compass, right? A weather vane, where does it point?
North.
Wherever the wind's going, like your emotions, it's up and down, it's left or right, right? But what's consistent is a compass, right? So regardless of how you feel, you do the right thing. When you can take control of your feelings, you're on the path to success. And unfortunately, we've had some students that are still weather vanes, and so, you know, they're going to struggle, okay? But the key is not to just follow along with everyone else, right? Well, everyone else is doing it. Well, I signed up for GPS because my friends did. You know, that was an excuse I had. No, you're doing this for yourself, right? So the key is you want to learn the principles of success so that you find your own path. You're not trying to fit in, right? You're being a leader. It takes a lot of pressure off when you don't have to fit in, right? You don't have to look good for other people and all that kind of stuff. You are owning your own life. And I'm really proud of you guys. You're on the right path. But again, the people that are weather vanes, it's sad living, right? To live like that. So they end up wandering lost and they never know why, right? But they probably blame someone else because they see themselves as a V. What's that V word?
Victim.
Victim. Poor me, right?
Yep.
No, you guys are victors, right? You're going to overcome whatever life throws at you. Remember the lemons you make? Lemonade, right? You get it, okay? So that's why we're going to take this GPS guaranteed principles of success. There's not a lot of guarantees in life, but principles we'll be learning again today that they are guaranteed, right? They always work. So you can move towards your amazing future with confidence. Wouldn't it be great to have life where you feel confident about your future? You're not worried about it, not wondering, am I doing the right or wrong thing? You know the right thing to do. And you're going to be able to actually then help lead others. So that's why some of you are being mentored, right, by other students that graduated from the program. They're practicing their leadership, right? So it's a great thing. All right, so I'm going to start off with an exercise to kind of get into the swing of our lesson here. I've got a Michael Jackson Bad CD. This was his #1 album of all time, right? And it's got all of his big hits on here, of course, you know, Bad and Man in the Mirror and all that, right? So I'm going to give you an opportunity. If you want to come up here and say, please may I have the CD, this can be yours for free.
Please may I have a CD.
All right, all you have to do is come up here and say, please may I have the CD.
Please, may I have this CD?
Yes, you are. Give him a hand, all right? All right, now I saw you guys being polite, so you raise your hand, all that kind of stuff, right? But my rule was to come up here. Now, why is that so important to come up here rather than just from the comfort of your own chair say, oh, yes, I'd like to have the CD? There you go. It's comfortable to be in your chair, right? That's your comfort zone. Leaders step out of their comfort zone, right? They take initiative. They say, I want something, and they go for it, right? You guys are going to be trained to be like that, where you don't just sit around where it's safe, right? You learn when you move outside your comfort zone, okay? And that's where you build that confidence, pride in yourself. So Jerry, that was great, right? Of course, he was off a little closer and made it a little easier, right? But hey, you know, that's all right. So the key is what governed who got the CD. We've done this exercise now for 12 years in all our GPS, and whoever comes up first and says, please, of course, very polite, always, right? Please may I have the CD, gets the CD. So that's my rule. How often does it work? Every time, right? A rule that works every time, is called a principle. So write that in. A principle always works. I mean, this is the PLE. Now you have your principle PAL, right, Dr. Smith, And he's a pal, right? He's here to help you. But the principle is a truth statement, right? And it always works. That's why it's called a principle. Okay? So whenever you hear that word principle, you want to have your ears like perked up because you want to know the truth, because the truth will set you free. You guys know that, right? So you're tuning in. I want to learn principles so that I can use those, because they always work, to make good decisions. All right? Very good. So the question now is, do you value principles? Are principles important to you, right? So we're going to kind of go through a little process to validate this for you. Okay? So first, when I write then, principles are natural laws. Natural means they happen automatically, right? So they're factual. They're not personal. It applies to everyone, right? Doesn't work for some and not others. And it's self-evident. Makes sense. So what's falling in there? The law of gravity, right? It falls, right? That's what gravity does, right? Would you say it's a principle?
Mm-hmm.
Does it always work on this earth?
Yes.
How do you know that the law of gravity is active right now? You dropped the pencil. You're not floating, right? So if law of gravity wasn't working, we're out in space, right? Then we wouldn't have much gravity. Technically, there's gravity everywhere, but it might be minute. But here on the earth, we got plenty of gravity to hold you right in your place, right? So, who discovered the law of gravity? Does anyone know?
Wasn't it?
Guys, who discovered the law of gravity? Yes, question.
Who discovered the law of gravity?
Isaac Newton?
Sir Isaac Newton. Get that man a chip. All right, now, here's the question. Was this just yesterday? How long ago? What year did he discover the law of gravity? Anyone know?
16.
Good guess. What is the exact year?
You were 1955.
Yeah. Look in your books.
Was it like?
Oh, there you go. The answer is often right in front of you, right? You gotta tune in, look at your resources. Dakota, very good, right? All right. So as the story goes, he was sitting under an apple tree trying to figure out what ruled our physical world, right? And an apple hit him in the head from the apple tree he was under, right? Now he knew there was no one around, so no one threw the apple at him, right? So he deduced there's a force on that apple that made it fall on his head, right? And so that was the first law of gravity, and so he became the father of modern physics, right? So Newton's laws of gravity, right? So, now knowing that that's the truth, right? Why is that important to know that? Is that just trivia for a trivia game or something? No, it's a principle that has large reaching impact into our lives, right? So the question is, do we value the principle like the law of gravity? Well, how could you test that? Well, you could ask yourself this question. Would I jump off a tall building without a parachute or a net? Right? So I asked Genesis, would you jump off a tall building without a net or a parachute? She says, of course not, Mr. Kane. Okay? Now that is a very good answer, right? But, believe it or not, some people don't answer that way. They live in the world of fantasy. So, because we spend a lot of time in computer, fantasy, movies, all that kind of stuff, right? It's important to be able to sort through what's real and what's not. So, I'm going to show you a little segment from the movie The Matrix. Okay, have you seen The Matrix? All right, so here's Neo, and Morpheus is trying to coach him to understand fantasy versus reality. So they're going to go into the jump program.
You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, disbelief. Free you.
All right, okay, he's jumping. Now, is that fantasy like Hollywood or reality?
That's
That's right, that's the movies, right? All right, so now Neo's going to try his jump.
What if he makes it? It's a the first jump. I know. But what if he does? He won't.
All right, fantasy or reality? That's real. Law law of gravity applies, right? So why do I bring that up now? It's because we have a real problem in our country, more than I think ever, where we have people that are growing up in kind of fantasy, right? They're not connected to principles that are true or reality. So let me give you an example. You go into the store, you see this great new big 85-inch flat screen TV, right? And someone says, wow, I'd love to have a screen like that, right? But they don't have the money. Does that stop them? No. They pull out a credit card, right? What does a credit card do? You buy it now and you pay for it when? Later. What a deal, right? I can have exactly what I want right now, right? Immediate gratification. Oh, I'll pay for it later, right? But if you don't have the money in the bank, the bill comes from the credit card company, right? And if you don't have the money, you can't pay it. So now you get not only that charge is there, but now you have to pay interest on it. And the credit cards, they kind of know how to make money, right? So usually it's like 20% interest, it's kind of crazy, right? And so someone, oh God, gee, I wanted to have that TV. It looked really good in the moment. I was feeling like a weather vane. I just want to have it now, right? And so they bought the TV, but they didn't really plan on how to pay for it. So they make the minimum payment on the credit card just so they don't, get default. But every month they don't pay that off, it keeps building more debt. So again, we're the richest country in the world, but we're also the most in debt. 75% of Americans are in debt. Pretty tough, right? Living the paycheck to paycheck. It's stressful. It's tough, right? You don't want to live like that, right? But this fantasy that I can have whatever I want, it's America, or I can do whatever I feel like, right? That's not reality, right? So like Miss Debbie and I, now we use a credit card, but we have the money in the bank, right? So actually it's a financial tool for us. We get 2% back on our credit card, right? So we actually make money, we pay it off every month, and it keeps kind of track of all of our purchases, right? It's a great money management tool. But any tool can be used, misused, or abused. So unfortunately, 75% of Americans apparently misuse or abuse, right? They don't have the financial plan in place. You guys are going to learn this program how to have a good financial mind so you're making good decisions. You don't get yourself into trouble. You want to live in reality, not fantasy. So again, what happens, and remember how this all builds. In Adventure 1, we learned reactivity is the problem, right? Wow, the TV, or wow, whatever I want to have it now. I don't think about anything, right? I just do it. I react. But we want you to learn how to be proactive, right? Think before you do. Right? Now, as you said, Mr. Kane, that makes so much common sense. But common sense isn't often common practice, is it, right? So we're human, we fall into the trap sometimes of reacting because something looks good, it's tempting, right? And instead, we need to slow ourselves down and make good decisions. Is that you, Miss Debbie?
Oh, sorry.
Do you need a sharp pencil? Is that pencil working for you? Okay. All right, you see what I'm talking about? So now we're going to apply what we learned in Adventure 1, proactive responsibility, to now the can-do approach here, right? So here's now our question again. Would you jump off a tall building? And Genesis gave me a really good answer, but I have kids that sometimes say, yeah, wow, that looks neat to jump off a tall building. In their imagination, they're in fantasy world. They play too many computer games, right? Where they just lose points or get points, that's not real, right? But what do they value? They value thrills, danger, and showing off. If you make your decisions based on these values, what's going to probably happen to you?
You're going to die.
You're going to get seriously injured or die. Eventually it's going to catch up with you, right? So, fortunately, we have Genesis, who's thinking smart here, right? She says, no, of course I wouldn't do that, Mr. Kane, because she's proactive. She can see that based on the situation, that's a bad decision because she values the law of gravity, right? She made a decision aligned with a principle of truth. So what does she value? Her health, her safety, and responsibility. So in this way, Genesis could live a nice long life, right? If she keeps following those kind of principles of success. Unfortunately, a lot of kids your age are not always thinking that way. Does it make sense? So they do dangerous things, whether it's with cars or whatever it might be, or with drugs or whatever they're not making good decisions, right? They're not valuing principles, and they pay for it, right? The severity is determined by how much risk they're taking, okay? So this is the way you want to assess the real world, not the fantasy world, right? All right, everyone got that? Got that in your books? Okay, so now let's just play this out. So again, if you do before thinking, right, that's this reactive behavior we're talking about. And if you're reactive, what kind of decisions will you make? Good or bad? Bad decisions, stupid things, you know? And you probably see some of this on the internet, people doing really stupid things, right? And they usually get hurt or whatever, but, you know, they don't care at the moment. They're not thinking about their future, right?
They just want to be cool.
They want to look cool, right? Remember, it's the tip of the iceberg versus really what's on the inside. So they don't consider, they're not in the habit of thinking about the law of gravity, right? But luckily, we've got Genesis here who's thinking before doing. That's probably what we all do. Most of you probably do that most of the time, but is it your habit? Do you do it all the time? Because it only takes one mistake to have then some bad outcome happen. Is that right? So the key is to build the habit so that you do it all the time, right? So if you think before doing, now you're being proactive, right? You're in the habit of thinking ahead, what's going to happen, and then you're going to make wise decisions. So write that in. Then it's stupid decisions, wise decisions, and then guess what? You are respecting principles, right? Like the law of gravity, right? Your ears are perked up to look and hear principles, right? And then when you hear a principle, I'm going to use that, right? Because you know it's always going to work for you. Are you with me on this? Again, now it seems fundamental, but this is the basis for success in life. You look at successful people, they have gotten into a thinking before doing mindset, right? They've trained themselves, they've disciplined themselves to think before they do, okay? But people that do before thinking, they make the mistakes and they're usually then not successful in life. So this is why this is so fundamental. We want you to learn this now, right? And then practice it until it becomes your habit. All right, so here's an example of procrastination, right? That's one problem, right? You put off something you could do today. All right, so watch this, see if it sounds like you or maybe someone else that you know. Well, big word, procrastination.
This morning I got up and got ready quickly because I had to get a lot of stuff done. I sat down at my desk to start getting my stuff done and I spilled my coffee, so I got a sponge to clean it up, and I figured I'd take an extra minute to clean the whole desk because a clean desk would help me get my stuff done. When I was finished, I realized I hadn't eaten anything and I didn't want to be hungry while I got my stuff done, so I went into the kitchen and I was out of cereal. When I got to the grocery store, I remembered a bunch of other crap I needed to get, and I figured I was already there, so I did my shopping for the week so I didn't have to worry about it while I got my stuff done. When I got home, I didn't feel like cereal anymore, and so I made an omelet and I did the dishes so I wouldn't have to do them after I got my stuff done, and then I went out to get some oil from the hardware store because my desk chair was kind of squeaky and I didn't want to be distracted by a squeaky chair while I got my stuff done. When I got back, it was getting kind of late and I knew I wouldn't be able to get my stuff done today, so I started watching the Twilight Zone marathon on TV. I just have to make sure I get to bed early because I want to be well rested tomorrow so I can get my stuff done.
All right, so did he get his stuff done? No. Whatever that was, it was something that was important, right? But instead of getting the stuff done, he got distracted, right? All these squeaky chairs, I'm out of food, all these things. Being busy is not a measure of success. We can all be busy with our lives, use our time. It's, are you doing the most important things with your time? That's the key to success. Make sense? So don't just try to be busy and you'll just spend time, you'll spend your life, but you may be going in circles, right? Just doing nothing, okay? So procrastination means, again, it's the fantasy that I can do tomorrow what I could have done today, right? But what happens, you get to tomorrow and then what happens?
You still doing the same thing you did yesterday.
Right. You're in all the other distractions. You're used to being distracted. You're not being distracted. It just keeps putting off until all of a sudden you hit the deadline, right? Now, I went to Cornell, an Ivy League college, right? Kind of hard to get in there. And so in my freshman philosophy class, my friend Barry Horowitz and I, you have to write a paper, you have to research it, and all that kind of stuff, right? How many have had to write in papers in here yet? Okay, so this is kind of an important thing to be able to write. So we got our first assignment. It was due in a week. So coming out of philosophy class, I said, hey, Barry, you want to go play tennis? Because, hey, we're in college. You know, we have the freedom. We can do whatever we want, right? And he goes, Jeff, I'm heading to the library. I'm going to go research my paper. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do my best on it. And then I'll play tennis with you. Wow. So was he being proactive or reactive? Proactive. What kind of grades do you think that Barry got at Cornell?
A's.
Straight A's. Guess who stuck with Barry Horowitz, right? Because I saw him making good decisions, right? So again, the choice of your friends is so important. If you have friends that are reactive, that are doing things that you know probably are not the right thing to do, those are not the people you want to hang with, right? Your success is often determined by the friends you have. If you've got someone like Barry Horowitz who's making good decisions, and then you are making good decisions, you help each other in the journey of life, right? But if you have friends that are distracted, right? They're in fantasy world, they'll suck you in, right? And you'll start making the same mistakes as well. And then, of course, you know, oh, well, it's my friend's fault, right? You'll be the victim, blaming them or whatever, right? But it's not going to serve you well. See what I'm saying? Okay, so we need to break the bad habits. Do today what you can do today. Don't put it off for tomorrow. Get it done early, and then you can enjoy your life. Work and then play, right? It makes sense, right? But these people, they want to play and then work. And that is a bad habit to get into, right? The work doesn't get done. So, the principle that we're talking about here is called short-term hard, long-term easy. Okay, that was a book written by Rory Bacon, who's from Harvard University, who was studying human behavior. Why do people do what they do, right? So he was in a mall, and he was watching, there was an elevator up to the second floor of the mall. And he noticed people gathering, and they weren't like handicapped. They were just waiting for the free ride up to the second floor. But there was a staircase right next to the elevator. So then he saw someone come up, saw all the people gather around the elevator, waiting for the elevator. He just ran up the stairs, and he was first in line in the stores upstairs, right? And he said, you know, that is what successful people do. Short-term hard, long-term easy. They set themselves up for success. That make sense? So think about in your life, the first thing you can do to apply this is don't procrastinate, right? Don't put up something that's hard. So for instance, if you had 3 assignments, and one of them is math, let's say math is your toughest subject, right? Which of the 3 assignments should you do first?
Math.
Do the math. Do the hard one first while you have all the energy, right? And then the other ones are easier and you get all 3 done. So doing the hard first is a discipline that will serve you well in life, okay? And then again, if you have younger brothers and sisters watching you, they'll learn from you, and then they're setting themselves up for success, right? So again, you can be a hero by modeling the right behavior. So the bottom line is, do you apply this principle? Short-term hard, long-term easy in your life, right? So how many in here are like in these sports? Okay? So in sports, what are you supposed to do before a game? You practice, because practice makes perfect, right? So a coach can often tell how well his team's going to do in the game by how well they practiced, right? You practice hard, you're going to play hard. But if you don't practice, or you don't practice very hard, you're not going to play very hard, right? The other team probably practiced harder, right? And they're going to win, right? So the idea is you prepare yourself for success. You don't just go in and take a test. You study for the test, you ace the test, right? You practice for the game, you win the game. See how this works? Instead of standing around for an elevator for someone to take care of you, take charge of your life, right? Do the hard thing, then life is easier. But the weather vanes in life, they do the opposite, right? They want short-term easy, but then life becomes long-term hard, right? They set themselves up for failure. But again, they'll blame someone else for it, of course, right? Couldn't be me, couldn't be my bad choices, right? Because they're not thinking, they're in fantasy rather than reality. You with me on that? This is so fundamental to successful people. It's foundation. That's why it's in the first couple of ventures, right? We're building a foundation for success in your life. So again, people often want to look good, right? They want to judge people by how they look. But is that really true? Remember you say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, right? It's who you are is on the inside, right? Your values, your character, right? The decisions you're making are all about you on the inside. So don't worry about trying to look good on the outside. People spend a lot of time and money trying to do that, right? But they're often empty on the inside, right? They try to look cool on the outside, right? But but they're really insecure on the inside. And that's why we have so many bullies, right? Bullies pick at other people, trying to make themselves feel better about themselves, right? But that's not the solution. So you remember our iceberg, right? The tip of the iceberg is what you see. The mass of the iceberg is below. Do you remember what the ratio is? What's percent of the tip of the iceberg? 10%, right? So again, it's very little is what's showing here. That's why we don't care about people's skin color or anything else. It's who you are on the inside, your character, right? So how do you build the character on the inside? You find principles, right? Things that always work. Then you say, I'm going to value, I'm going to use those. They're important to me, right? And then you build your actions to match those values aligned to principles, right? Does that make sense? So again, common sense, but it's often not common practice, right? People want the shortcut. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to build for tomorrow because they just want to live it up today. They're not fantasy, right? So this is the process that we're trying to do. So let's take, for instance, one of our 16 core values for success, truth. We've been talking about truth, right? Telling the truth, not lying, right? Abraham Lincoln, right? Honest Abe. So if you work on truth, you want to value truth, you want to use truth, right, as a principle for success, what do you have to practice? Honesty, integrity, and being consistent, right? The balance in your life, discernment, using principles to decide, be proactive, and then of course, keeping promises. It's sometimes easy to make a promise, harder to keep it, right? Choose your friends wisely, the friends that you keep promises with, right? If they say they're going to do something and they follow through, that's a good friend, right? And of course, be a good friend to them. You make the promise, you keep the promise, right? Now you've got a healthy relationship. But often, poor relationships is because people don't keep promises. They say they'll do something and they do something else, right? And you can't trust them. So what do? You work on these things for, the research shows, 30 days to build a habit. If you practice these things for 30 days, now it's who you are. It comes to the surface. But you're not pretending to look cool, right? You are a reliable person. You have healthy relationships. People respect you. And guess what? You end up respecting yourself, right? So these are people that build confidence, right? Confident people don't try to act cool or cocky, right? Those people are insecure because they're empty on the inside, right? They're trying to fake it through life. But under pressure, the true come out, right? You squeeze the lemon juice, right? Sour lemon juice. People that are struggling, they're negative. Under pressure, you see them get violent or angry or whatever it is, right? But if you are in control of your life, make good decisions, under pressure, you'll keep doing the right thing because that's what's on the inside of you, right? So it's like squeezing a sweet peach juice, right? Sweet comes out of you. So when you have a friend and you see that we're under pressure, you see how they behave under pressure. And if you see them being consistent, right? They're still trustworthy. You can still count on them, but that's a friend to keep, right? And likewise, you be that friend for them. So this is the formula here, right? Build the character on the inside, eventually then it shows on the outside. You don't have to fake it. So, what are we saying? Building character, you take the principle, you value it, and then you build your habits to match that so that you don't have to fake it. It's just who you are, right? And you can count on yourself. You're proud of yourself, right? And other people, your parents are proud of you, your employers are proud of you. Those are the people that get not only the job, they get the promotion, right? They get the pay raise because they're reliable, right? Employer loves people they can count on, right? They'll promote them and keep them in the company. That's what I did at Raymond James, right? With 10,000 employees, I was looking for people that wanted to build good habits. So if someone criticizes you and says, hey, you're not doing something right, should you get mad at them? No, in fact, you say, hey, thanks. I didn't realize that, right? I can work on that. So this is the process that we want to get into, is habits. All right, now we use that word a lot, right? We're going to actually make it really clear to you how to take control of your habits. Because if you take control of your habits, you take control of your life. All right? So does anyone have, what's your definition of a habit? Yeah, Chris, what do you think?
Something that you stay consistent on.
Consistent, I like that, right? Habit is about being consistent. Anyone else? Yeah.
Something consistently do
Over and over, I like that, right? All right, so we're going to experience for a moment what a habit is. So I need everyone to stand up for a minute. Just stretch your legs here, right? because I want you to experience this habit, because you'll learn it better if you experience it, okay? All right, so you're standing up, take a nice deep breath, right? Life is good, right? Okay, so now what I want you to do, I want you to put your hands out in front of you. Okay, so extend those arms out. There you go. Now, cross your arms. All right? Now, you didn't think about crossing your arms, right? But for me, my right arm ended up on top of my left, all right? Now, put them out again, cross them again, all right? Did you think about it? No. Did you end up doing it the same way? Most likely, unless you're ambidextrous, right? Most people it's their habit of crossing their arms, right? So whatever arm is now on top, I'm going to have you do it a third time, but purposely do it the opposite way. So put your arms out one more time here. You with me, June? Okay. Now, cross the opposite way. Ooh. That feel a little awkward, right? Because it's not your habit. You're not used to that, right? Now, if you kept doing it enough times, the muscle memory, your brain would learn to do it the new way, right? So that's what we're saying, like 30 days. So if you guys, like in sports, you practice repetition, not to be bored, you're building the habit. So under pressure in the game, you'll do it the way you practice. Make sense? The same thing's true in life. The decisions you make, you want to practice until it becomes your habit. So under pressure, you don't have to think about it, you'll do what you practice. Make sense? All right, so write this down now. This is the key then. Habits can be awkward when you try to change. That's why people often don't want to change their habits, right? Even when it's a bad habit. So what is the definition of a habit? From kind of what we said here, it's an automatic, repetitive action. If we had to think about every single thing we do every day, that's what OCD people, right? they get so overwhelmed, right, with everything that they have to do. You want to have good habits where you just can do it and you don't have to think about it, okay? All right, you with me on that? So, who should be in control of your life? You or bad habits? You. But unfortunately, some people have bad habits. Do you agree? We're all human. Some people, for instance, smoke. They've been told, the research shows, you're going to get lung cancer, right? It's not good for your body. Now, poor Debbie, her sister Liz, up in Buffalo, New York, she just had lung cancer surgery. They had to remove a third of her lung because she had smoked for so many years. The damage came, the cancer started, right? They had to remove it. Very painful process, right? Who does she have to blame? Herself, unfortunately, right? So, very painful. So again, the decisions you make now can affect you for the rest of your life. But often people will still say, oh, well, that happened to someone else. That's not going to happen to me. Fantasy or reality? Fantasy. See how people live in fantasy, right? They'll justify, they'll rationalize their bad habits. And I'm sure Liz tried to stop smoking many times. But what made it hard? Breaking that, it was awkward. Now, what did she like about smoking? Well, number one, the breathing, right? You breathe in.
She has a lot of anxiety.
She has a lot of anxiety. Now, of course, you don't have to smoke to breathe, right? Just do breathing exercises. Take a deep breath in. Blow it out your mouth, right? That will cause you to relax. You don't need a cigarette to do it, right? And what else is in the cigarette is nicotine. Because the cigarette makers want to make sure that you get addicted to it, right? So the nicotine then addicts your brain to saying, I need to have the smoking, right? For the nicotine, right? But we're going to teach you in this program, you have all the chemicals in your body. You have the highest high and the lowest low. You're going to have to learn how to use it. But they're natural. They're healthy for you, right? Not the artificial stuff that you get addicted to, okay? So that's going to be coming up. So do you see what we want to do? Break the bad habits. Don't let them control your life. If you are a procrastinator, and I've gone through that too, I'm human, right? You have to discipline yourself. Do it today. So that's why your action plans, right? You're going to apologize for a lot? Don't put it off. Do it today, right? Because you'll make excuses. You'll start talking yourself out of it, right? Oh, I forgot. How many times has that been used as an excuse, right? It just means that you're not intentional with what you said you're going to do, right? So forget the forgetting and just do it, okay? So this is our opportunity here. So if you can take control of your life, you're going to have a great life, right? So don't let other people, don't let bad habits control your life. So this is the processes in your book here. A habit has to start with a desire. So like if I have a bad habit, like smoking, I have to say, I know the research is going to tell me it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when I'm damaging my body, it's going to get to a bad point. So I have to learn how to change the habit. Why am I doing it in the first place, and how can I change my behavior to something that's positive? And then you simply have to do the work for 30 days, right, to break the habit. Okay? And you guys, you are just getting the secrets to success in life. Most of your other students in here, they don't know it, right? And some of them don't even want to know it, apparently. Ignorance is bliss or something, I don't know. So this is the opportunity. You be a leader in your life, and then you're going to start to affect the people around you. They're going to start seeing you differently. You're doing smart things. They're saying, how are you doing that, right? And then maybe you can help them, right? So this is our opportunity. So I'm going to give you an example, just a real simple example. Years ago, I think everyone goes to the dentist in here, right? Not my favorite place to go, to the dentist, right? And of course, when there's something wrong with your teeth, what do? The drill. Zzz. I hate that sound. I don't know about you. I hate that, right? And it can be expensive in the dentist. So years ago, I went to the dentist, right? And you do a checkup. They check your teeth and everything. And then my dentist said, "Hey Jeff, you're not brushing your teeth right." And I'm thinking, what? Brushing my teeth right? I thought you just had to brush your teeth. He said, "No, you're scrubbing, because you're not in a hurry in the morning. I'm tired. Scrubbing away." He said, "You got too hard bristles, right? You just need to kind of stroke it, right? Because if you keep scrubbing like this, you're going to scrub your gums away and you're going to lose your teeth." So here I was, I had a bad habit, but an expert that I trusted helped me become aware I had a bad habit. So what did I do? Did I want to lose my teeth? No. So I said, "Okay, doc, well, what's the better way to brush my teeth?" And so he told me the technique, get a better toothbrush, right? So for 30 days, I had to think about the brushing my teeth in the morning and the evening when I'm tired, right? But I did the hard work, because then, once I had the habit, now I got my teeth, right? Okay, now you're young, you got your whole life ahead of you, but the things you do now will impact the rest of your life, right? So build these good habits now. So for 30 days, I worked on the right technique, and now I've got the habit. I don't think about it anymore, right? I just brush my teeth, right? Slow down a little bit, right? And I got good teeth. Make sense? Okay, so again, this is very basic living. Build good living habits. Build a good living lifestyle, right? Get to bed so you get 8 hours of sleep so you're rested the next day to do your best. It's simple, right? But you gotta make the decision to do it. Okay, you with me on this? All right, so there's a habit. So summarizing then, successful people are aware of their habits. They keep the good habits, they change the bad habits, right? And when someone points something out that they didn't really, we all have blind spots, right? You listen to people's advice, right? They're trying to help you. Don't take it as a criticism. Don't take it personal. It's not that they don't like you, they actually like you. They're trying to help you, right? So when your parents are giving you advice, they're not being mean, right? Your teachers trying to give you advice. Miss Debbie and I, we care about this, that's why we're here, right? We want you to break the bad habits, because we've been through life ourselves, right? The second thing then is, you got to know how to change it. Well, we're teaching that to you right here, right? You know the secret, so there's no kind of excuse. You know what to do, now you just got to do it, right? Now, why do people sometimes don't want to do it? What's the 4-letter word here?
Fear.
Fear. False evidence appearing real. Right? Well, I don't want to ask questions on how to do it because I'll look stupid. No, when you don't ask the question, that's stupid, right? Gain the knowledge, gain the wisdom, gain the principle of success, right? And so you can use it. So don't be afraid to ask questions, right? Then you build the desire for excellence, right? Now, I don't mean being perfect. No one's perfect. Excellence means you do your very best that you're capable of doing. You work to your full potential. Now, I remember my high school graduation when I got my diploma, like you guys are working towards, right? And we went to the last graduation for West University in Seminole Heights this last spring, right? And so we got to see all the students that worked hard like you guys are and got their high school diploma. So there's always a keynote speaker that has some good wisdom, right? So I remember that keynote speaker was a very successful person, and he said, you know what the secret to success is? Work on your excellence. If someone just asks you to sweep the floor, don't just hurry and get it done. Do your best, right? If you have another chore to do, or your homework, don't just rush to get it done. Do your best. You do that for 30 days, what's your habit? Your best, right? But people that try to hurry and get it done quickly, they build a habit of laziness, right? They do the bare minimum. And then they wonder why they don't get good results in life. It's because you're being lazy. But if you really do your best, after a while, it's your habit. You want to do your best. You're capable of doing your best. That's who you are. You do your best, right? Guess what? People want to hire you. People want to give you a promotion. People want you on their team when you do your best, right? It's a simple formula for success. So I listened to that and I started working on applying it in my life, right? And we're passing that on to you. So excellence is not something that happens by accident. Short-term hard, long-term easy, right? So this is what we're trying to work at. Now let me give you an example. You know, trainers, personal trainers, they try to get people to exercise, eat right, be healthy, right? So here was a trainer, and he was giving all this advice to his clients, but his clients always do what he said to do? Take his advice? No, he was kind of frustrated. Man, I tell them to exercise and eat right, and they don't. So he said, okay, if you can't beat them, I'm going to join them. He went on the McDonald's diet. He had McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for 30 days. Can you imagine? All this carbs and calories and almost no nutrition, right? So he gained 25 pounds. His body fat went from a very healthy 11%, he's a trainer, to 18%. In 1 month, his cholesterol went through the roof, right? And then he experienced feeling lethargic, like he couldn't get off the couch, no energy, right? So he said, that's how my clients feel, right? So they don't like to be like that, so they hire me, but then they don't do it. Why don't they do it? When you're tired and lethargic, you have to do a lot of effort to change the bad habit, right? You don't feel like it, you have to discipline yourself. So after he gained all this stuff for 30 days, now he said, now I understand how hard it is, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show my clients that you can undo the damage. So then, how long did it take for him to get back to where he was after 30 days of the bad habit?
30 days.
No. No, it wasn't that easy. It took longer than the 30 days. What do you think? 6 months, about 6 months. It took 6 times the time of 1 month of damage, 6 times, right? 6 months to undo the damage. Now he's a young guy. The older you get, like me, the harder it gets, right? Your body doesn't respond as well. So the younger you are, the easier it is. This is the time to break the bad habits and build the good habits now. See what I'm saying? You guys are a perfect age to do it. Your body will respond well. So again, this is a discipline, right? You follow the principle, you get the benefits, right? He's trying to just show you that, hey, it's doable, right? But you got to make the effort. So, when at the beginning, when I said, hey, here's a CD, my rule, please come up and get the CD, right? And so Jarian figured it out and jumped up here. He's got now a nice Michael Jackson CD for free, right? All right, so hopefully he'll get to share that, right? So, what did he have to get out of his comfort zone, to get out of that chair? What did he have to have?
Initiative.
Initiative.
Yeah.
Very good, which we give that initiative, right? Is actually, we translate it into motivation. You probably heard that word, right? It's another big word, motivation. What does motivation mean?
The amount.
Motivation.
You're excited to do something.
Right, motivation, like it gets you going, right? It gets you moving. Motivation, we're moving, right? So, to motivate means you've got to get something to change. So how do we do that? Well, here's the definition. Motivation is the amount of desire needed to take an action. So, can you make someone be motivated? What do you think? Okay, you think, yeah, you can? Does everyone think, you think you can make someone be motivated?
No.
No? Okay, I'm going to do a little exercise. We're going to test this out, okay? So I've got a little fish here. He's not moving around very much. I think he's just hungry. So I need a little bit of help. So, Alex, could you help me? All right, give her a hand. She's volunteering here. All right. You can slip right through the front here, okay? All right. I think he just needs a little pinch of food. Not a lot. You don't want to overfeed him and he'll get fat, right? Just a little pinch and drop it in for me. There you go. That's great. Drop it in. Beautiful. All right. Give her a hand right now. Don't leave yet. All right. Now, was that hard to do? So the amount of desire was pretty small, right? But she's a very nice lady, so she did that for me. So I'm going to give her a chip. Thank you. Now, wait. I got another fish at home. Now that you kind of did that one so well, I have another fish at home. Would you be willing to feed my fish at home? No? Well, here,
Take a look,
that's
take a
fair. Let me show you the video of my fish and then you can decide, okay? All right, here it comes. Got a video. Capture it there. There we go. Coming up just a second. Sharky! Would you feed my pet shark? No! Why not? Oh, okay, so she's thinking of the consequences. Very good, okay? Now, I understand you're a little reluctant. Would you do it for $1 million? What do you think? It's a Sharky. You,
Oh, is that
wait a
yes?
second, you changed your mind. Before you said no, you said yes. What changed? The incentive, right? So I can incentivize someone. I can give you guys chips, rewards, right? But who still has to decide? You. You motivate yourself, right? You can use rewards, incentives, right? But you heard that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So thank you very much for proving our point here. That's very good, and that's probably a smart thing. You don't want to lose an arm or a leg to my
And we
pet
don't have a
shark.
real
Okay.
shark in house.
I don't have a pet shark. I need to be honest with you, right? It's just for educational purposes, okay? But you see the point? But a lot of people, again, fantasy. Your parents think, oh, I can motivate my kids. You know, or some teachers think, I can motivate my students. Can they really? No, they might get frustrated trying to do it. Do your parents get frustrated? They want you to do something because they care about you, but they think they can make you do it. And the more they try to make you do it, you might what? Resist, right? You don't want someone to force you to do something. You want to choose to do it because you want to take control of your life, right? So if they made the suggestion, hopefully now you would appreciate that and you would motivate yourself to do it, right? Like Jerry, get out of the chair, make it happen, right? But when you're not very motivated, your parents are trying to get you to be successful. They can't do it though, right? And so that's why you often get into some conflict at home. You ever had that? The parents want you to do something and you resist because you haven't bought in, you haven't taken responsibility, right? So this is where you can get along with your parents really well. Be responsible, and then your parents get to cheer you on. They love what you're doing great, keep going, right? Then they don't have to push, but they only push because they care, all right? So just so you understand, they're not trying to be mean, not trying to control your life. They just want you to be successful. Please be successful, all right? But you can choose it. You with me? So this is where you can get out of that trap and have a great relationship. I had a great relationship with my parents because they didn't have to push me. I did the things that I needed to do and more, right? So like my dad would come home, he hated his job, he was supporting a family of 7 kids, right? So I'd meet him at the door. I'd say, Dad, how was your day? Oh, Jeff, another tough day. I said, Dad, you look thirsty. Can I get you something to drink? And he would just beam, right? Why? Because I appreciated his sacrifice, right? He didn't have to make me appreciate his sacrifice, right? I did it voluntarily. I was motivated because I cared about my dad, right? So when we show that appreciation, we actually help our parents along, right? They're doing the tough work. If we show a little appreciation, it goes a long way, right? So you might try that. Okay? Mom, Dad, you look thirsty. Can I get something to drink? Whatever it is, that was something he appreciated. So the key then is motivation. So where does it come from? Inside. Yeah, it's your brain, but it's inside. You gotta have a heart for motive. The desire is your brain and your heart, right? You're realizing, I want to do this. I want to get my life under control. All right, you guys with me? Awesome. All right, so now we got to get into the mode again where we're retaining what we're learning. So I got the new teaching sheet. Oh, give me some here. Take one, pass that down, please. Take one, pass that down, please. All right. So this is now for every adventure. We have 2 sides. Because remember, it takes 2 weeks to get through it. You're meeting with your mentors. They're going to help you with the quiz, right, to get the key learning, right? But this is your teaching sheet.
Part 1.
So put your name at the top, right, please, so that you'll get credit for it when you turn this in. So you're on part 1, right, where it says CD. All right, so what does CD stand for?
So,
Can do. Right, very good.
Or king.
That's right.
King.
So principles are rules that work. What's that word? Not sometimes, but always. Write that in. A rule always works. That's why it's a principle, right? A habit is an automatic, repetitive action. Write that in. Correct. Motivation is what we just said. The A of desire needed to take an action. The amount, right? Feeding this little fish here didn't take much for Hayes to help me, right? A little small amount. Feeding Sharky would have taken a lot more, right? But for maybe for $1 million, she might have decided it was worth it. Right. So you're going to teach this to him, right? When are you going to do this? Today, right? Don't procrastinate, because you'll do yourself a favor because it'll be fresh in your brain. You reinforce this. So again, do you want to be reactive or proactive? Circle proactive, right? Do I want to be more like a weather vane or a compass? Compass, circle compass. Do I want to avoid and procrastinate, or do I want to do responsible things now?
Responsible.
Circle that, right? Do I want to be lazy, or do I want to be motivating myself? You get the idea? So circle the right answers, share them with your folks. They're going to love to hear that you're doing it. Now again, I'm sending an email to your parents every day we teach, right? So by 7 o'clock tonight, just remind them, hey, Mr. Kane sent you an email because this is kind of what we did in class, right? If they respond to it, you get another 5 bonus chips. If you teach them and they sign up on here, you get 10 bonus chips. Bring this back next week. A few of you did that. That's great. Build the habit, right? Don't procrastinate. Now, if you teach to someone else, family member or friend, you get more chips, right? But you have to have a parent's signature for this to work. I want your parents to be engaged in so that they can reinforce what you're learning, and they're going to be so pleased, proud of you, right, that you're learning this stuff. That sound good?